Sue was diagnosed with cervical cancer at the beginning of 2018 and received chemotherapy and brachytherapy and radiotherapy, and we had the good news at the end of the year that we thought that the cancer had gone. And then things changed, and suddenly the conversation turned to something very different. It wasn't a question of curing, it was a case of palliative care. And I remember Sue, when that was first put to her, she was very frightened because the word hospice felt for her the death sentence now. And two things happened when we arrived at St Giles. A nurse said to Sue, when she expressed these fears, said, "This hospice isn't about death, it's about life." I think that the COVID added another danger, and one particular nurse who was very involved in the physical care of Sue and just let slip in a conversation that she was asthmatic. And I found that quite humbling, really, to think that she was going to a job that was risking her own life to save someone else's. Sue had a persistent cough, but it was difficult to decide whether that was more the result of the lung cancer or whether it was in fact possibly COVID.
I knew at that point I was going to have to go and ask Adam to self-isolate, because obviously he'd been in contact, so he was obviously at risk of being tested positive with COVID, and I had to explain to him that unfortunately he was going to have to now leave. Obviously we would give him some time with Sue to say his goodbyes, and I made the decision that going in full PPE was just going to make this conversation even worse. And I knelt at the side of Sue's bed and held her hands.
And said, "I'll keep you safe, I'll keep you safe." And that meant more than ever I could say, really. And it was then, I think, about 9:30 or 9:45. But I remember she fell asleep, and I remember holding her hand, and I remember looking at the watch that I'd bought her the week before, and I watched that watch and go round the clock, and the nearer to 12 o'clock it came, the more awful it was, because I knew that I was coming to the point where I wouldn't see her again. Saying goodbye to Sue at 12 o'clock was the hardest thing,
Sue was going to face death without him, but we made sure we were 100% with her, and she was never ever on her own. And that's the promise I made to Adam, and that's the promise we kept as a team.
That she didn't die in fear. I think that was the greatest gift that they gave us. They kept hope alive. St Giles has never needed your help more than it needs it today.
Pharmacy is a health and well-being partner. For us, it was really important to get people out walking. Feel Good Fridays have been amazing. So we organised 9 different events on a Friday to bring people together to exercise and really get them in the mood, to go out and do the Bee Trail. And as far as Feel Good Fridays, really positive feedback on those.
I think they've just brought lots of fun and happiness. The weather's been brilliant, so that's helped, but I think it's just made a lot of people happy to wander around Manchester.
Just seeing people's excitement and enjoyment around them, and actually seeing so many young people, particularly in Central Library, families and young children that might normally have come into the library, but really enjoying the space and actually owning it.
So it's been a wonderful initiative, because bees, they are a community, and we are a community, and I think they are a symbol of that unity, and I think that's important for the city, to show how united we are and how diverse we are and how inclusive we are, and the bees are a wonderful symbol for that.
I'm a solicitor and I prepare wills and do various things like that. And I'd just gone to an evening reception at the Martlets, and they so happened to have a plastic white dog there. And Imelda Glacken, CEO, explained to me what this project was. And being in control of the marketing budget, fortunately I was just able to say there and then, we'll have one. It's nice to do good in the community, isn't it? Businesses have to spend budgets wisely. And actually, it's the best £5,000 that we could ever spend as a business. We would have to spend 4 or 5 times that amount if we were to pay for the amount of PR coverage that you get from doing one of these events. I tried to think of a historical case involving a snail, and it's actually the only case that most lawyers probably remember back from their studies. So it's called Donahue and Stevenson. And it's regarding, there was a cafe in Paisley and a lady ordered a ginger beer and it had a snail in it. He's historically known as the Paisley snail. So our snail is Paisley.